I'm Gene Siciliano. My company is Western Management Associates. We're a financial management consulting firm, and we go by the trademark Your CFO for Rent. This is not about raising money, but it's about managing the finances inside the company. Two companies that were too small to be able to afford to have a full-time CFO and a financial analyst staff and all that sort of trappings. So we give them the best attention they need, but only for the amount of time they need it. That's kind of the motto of our business. Most companies, particularly smaller companies that don't have that CFO and that big staff that we talked about, don't get good financial information. They get the kind of reports that their accounting software produces, and that's it. And even if they could read them, which usually they can't very well, it's a very small segment of the kind of information, the slices and the sorting of information that they should get to make good management decisions. It's really about understanding the minimum that you need to make intelligent financial decisions for yourself, for your department, for your company, depending on where you are. We talk about people who got in mortgage trouble today because they didn't have enough financial literacy to be able to recognize they couldn't afford a mortgage. Well, you take that same person, they have a job somewhere, and somewhere in their job there is a need for some level of financial literacy so they can do their job effectively, even if it's nothing more than keeping within the budget that they've been allotted for their department. And that's the kind of thing I do, try to raise that level of knowledge and awareness just enough to make them more effective than they are today. And then they decide where they want to go beyond that. If you have sales and you are growing your sales and you're not paying attention to the rest of your business, you can go out of business. There have been startup companies that have started and grown sales very rapidly, but because they didn't recognize, for example, the cash investment necessary to finance those sales, to build the products, to bill a customer, to wait for the customer to pay the bill. Meantime, you have to replace the products you sold. These are companies that had income statements that showed wonderful profits, and they went bankrupt because they had no cash to be able to pay their bills. And so that's one area where sales alone is not enough. You really have to pay attention to the rest of the business. And growing sales is important. But if you don't have an adequate profit from those sales, and companies who don't have good insight into segments of profit within their business are potential victims for this kind of thing. If they have, an example, if they have two products, and one is selling profitably and one is selling at a loss, they don't know that because their reporting lumps them all together, but they're getting a small profit in total. What they don't know is if they threw away one product, the profit would go up. And that's the kind of thing that, again, gets back to the right financial information and then understanding how to use it. Any business, particularly a new startup business, is like a stool with three legs. And the three legs are a good product, and the ability to sell the product and get it to your customers who need it, and the ability to manage the money. And like any three-legged stool, if one of those legs falls off, the stool falls over. So you have to have a good product. It has to be made with quality. It has to be responsive to the needs of your market. You have to know who your market is so you can then sell to them and get it delivered to them, whether it's a product or service. If they don't know about you, if they can't find out about you and get your product when they want it, it doesn't matter that it's a good product. So making good product, getting it delivered to them, and then being able to manage the money of all of that so that some of the things we talked about a little while ago don't happen. You have tremendous sales, but you don't manage the cash, and so you run out of the cash you need to finance the business. And most new businesses are undercapitalized in terms of cash. An entrepreneur will start a business with credit cards or with a small loan from the family because they have these visions that everybody will adopt their product as readily as they did. And the reality is it doesn't happen that quickly. The most important thing for an entrepreneur to know before they go looking for equity money or investors is that their business model is solid. They have ironed out the kinks, and they can demonstrate reliably that they can execute on whatever it is they have chosen to do in their business. And if that business is not sound, you're going to be paying a high price in terms of equity for the money you get. Now, if you're starting a biotech company that is going to take 8 years or 10 years before it has a product to bring to market, You've got to attract investors on the promise, on the excitement, on the potential, long before you have a viable business model. And that's a different sale. But for most businesses, the need to demonstrate the effectiveness of their business has to come first. They have to believe that it can be successful so that they can convince investors they can be successful, because we have some success. And when money gets tight, or we have crashes as we had in the early 2000s, suddenly people that are investing money now want to say, prove to me that you can sell your product before I'll give you money. So if you want to have control of your company while it grows and use investors to help with that, you need to be in control of the business model and the demonstration that it really works. I've been in the financial world all of my life, but the real value that I get personally from this business is working with the people. Working one-on-one with a CEO or a business owner, or working with his team, and watching them grow and make the kind of changes and enhancements not only to their business but to their own sense of business as a result of what I've done for them. When they do that, when they open up to that, and their appreciation radiates back to me, I think that's the real reward, seeing that I've really made a difference in the lives of these people, and almost incidentally in the life of their company.